everyone, it is going to be very interesting to see what happens with Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets. Now, obviously, they have been just in this sort of almost toxic relationship, right? Both Kyrie and the organization have just gone back and forth. Kyrie has not had the best time in Brooklyn. Brooklyn doesn't really seem to like Kyrie Irving. This offseason, it looked like Kyrie was gone, right? And all the reports, all the talks, conversations, it looked like he was going to the Lakers to go back and team up with LeBron James. Kevin Durant and Kyrie, in many ways, this kind of feels like one last chance. And, it's something that really does beg the question, like, do the Brooklyn Nets want to keep Kyrie Irving for the long haul? Does Kyrie really want to stay in Brooklyn? And recently we got a report, and we got from Kyrie's manager, who's also his mom, basically that, hey, the ball is in Brooklyn's court now. And what was said here is this, around Kyrie and staying with the Nets. I have reached out to the Nets regarding this. His agent, Shatelia Irving, told Bleacher Report, "We have had no significant conversations to date. The desire is to make Brooklyn home with the right type of extension, which means the ball is in the Nets' court to communicate now if their desire is the same." So what they did here is they basically just flipped the script and put everything on the Brooklyn Nets, so Kyrie doesn't have to look like the bad guy, right? It's the whole like, hey, we want to be here. We're open. We're just waiting. We haven't heard anything, from the Nets. And we're just, Kyrie wants to be here. He wants to stay. But Brooklyn, they're a little, hey, like, we're waiting, right? Like, the ball's in their court, right? Like, this just sort of deflects and put everything on the Brooklyn Nets. So if Kyrie doesn't stay, well, they have like back in January, we were trying to get something worked out. We were trying to figure this out. They weren't communicating with right? Now you have your get out of jail free card so far, right? And look, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers would love to take Kyrie. And I really do believe Kyrie would love to go back to the Lakers or go back to LeBron and play with the Lakers. I just think that they're both in just a very different place now. And they were, like, in many ways, a perfect marriage. Like Kyrie Irving is like, and LeBron James is like that couple that didn't work out, but you're like, they should have stayed together and they're perfect for each other. And you hope that they get back together one day because everyone else is just in toxic relationships. And you're just like, that's the one. Like that's kind of what Kyrie and LeBron is, right? Like Kyrie and LeBron would be, a match made in heaven. You'd have Anthony Davis, who went to the Lakers. And Kyrie has that in his back pocket, right? Like, hey, look, I could always go to LA. We'll figure it out, right? The Lakers will do whatever they have to. Trade whatever picks, unload guys, whatever. They'll figure out a way to get Kyrie. Kyrie also has the allure of like, hey, if you come to LA, you lost a shoe deal. You probably get a new one in LA. If it's not Nike, it's probably somebody else, right? Because now this is huge marketing. You're going to get all these brand deals, all these endorsements, all that stuff. So there is incentive for him to go to the Lakers. And I do still feel like that this season in many ways is like a test to see like, do we want to keep this party going, right? Now, Kevin Durant, he's out for the foreseeable future, and Brooklyn's trying to weather the storm right now. They didn't have the best start to their season, but they've really turned it around since then, and we're really playing great basketball. Once Jacques Vaughn took over and, like Kyrie came back and just, they kind of figured it out, right? They were top 5 offense, top 10 defense, and just really kind of climbing the standings. And still, I mean, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They've lost 6 out of the last 7 or something, or 6 out of the last 8. But they're still standing in 4th place. They are tied with the Cavs right now. And they do have a couple game lead from the 6th and 7th seed. So they're sitting in a pretty decent spot right now. They're only 3 games out of 2.5 games out of 2nd place and 5 games total out of 1st place. So they could easily, if they go on another huge run when KD comes back, they could be top 2, top 3 in the Eastern Conference. But this season is definitely title or bust, right? Like Kevin Durant, the whole reason he wanted to leave was because he felt the organization was dysfunctional and he didn't feel like he could win. If they have another first round exit or they just get blown out or ran through in the second round or something. I think this is it. I really do. Because look, Kyrie and KD has not been successful. They have one playoff series win since this team got put together. And it's just, there's been more conversations year in and year out about everything else but the game of basketball. And it just seems to be this mess and disaster after disaster after disaster. At what point does Joe Tsai and the Nets go, okay, like it's time to move on? And at what point do Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving say, all right, it's time to move on? Like, if Brooklyn falls short, we might very well be right back to where we started. And this time, Brooklyn might actually unload everybody and move on. Get what you can for Kyrie because he's walking regardless. If you can work out a sign and trade or something, then do that. Kevin Durant, you're probably going to get your package that you need to kind of rebuild and retool. So you're probably best to do that. I really think that the Nets, Kyrie just basically put the ball in the Nets court and gave himself an out, right? He gave himself an opportunity, unless they really do just give him the money in the max, right? They very well might. They could easily just say, hey, we'll give you the max extension. I don't think they're going to do that until the season's over, right? If they get, and I'm not even saying that they have to win the championship this year, but it has to be close, right? Like, if they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals in like a tough 7 games, right? Like, let's say they're playing Milwaukee or Boston and it's a tough 7, and they just lose, then I could see them running it back. I could see them, signing Kyrie, even if it's to like a 1-year deal or something, right? Just to kind of like, okay, well, let's run it back one more time. Let's get a couple pieces and then see what we can do from there, right? I could see something like that happening. Or obviously if they get to the finals and they lose, or if they win the NBA finals, then I don't think Kyrie and KD would want to break up at that point. Although you can make the argument, well, Brooklyn, the job got done. Brooklyn might just say, okay, we're done. Let's trade Kyrie. We got the title. Let's unload Kyrie. Let's, trade Kevin Durant. Let him go elsewhere. We're in a good spot. But you'd imagine that they'd want to kind of run it back, and I'm sure the players would want to run it back. So I don't think you have to win the championship for Kyrie to stay and for it to make sense. But I think it has to be close, right? Again, if you lose in the first round, or you get gentlemen swept in the second round, like say you play in Milwaukee and you lose in 5 or something like that, or 6, then it's like, okay, like this isn't working. We're too cap strapped. We're not going to be able to build a contender around these guys. Kevin Durant's only getting older. Kyrie Irving's only getting older. What's going to be the next controversy that happens next season? He's been good so far, but Brooklyn still is just a house of cards that's one bad day away from just falling. And that's just really how it feels with Brooklyn. And because of Kyrie and Kevin Durant, everything is amplified, whether it's warranted or not. If anything happens, if Kyrie sneezes the wrong way, the media is just going to blow that out of proportion, and we're going to be right back to what we were, a couple months ago. And is it fair? Is it right? No, but that's the reality of it, And so, the Kyrie, I think there is a part of him that wants to stay there, but I don't think it's that bad, right? Like, if he left, I don't think he cares, right? I do believe that there was a time where, like, all he wanted was to be in Brooklyn, and that was his place, and he wanted to play at home, and he probably would have taken less money to stay there, and I really think at one point he would have done whatever it took to stay in Brooklyn. But I think now, the marriage is just over. I think both sides don't really like each other, don't really want to work it out, and maybe they work out the contract extension, maybe they work it out, and maybe the Nets give him the max. But if they want him to take a pay cut, I don't think he stays. Maybe he does. I could be wrong. But if you're Kyrie, unless they're giving you the most money, like, why? Unless Kevin Durant really is hey, let's stay and ride it out here, which I don't know if he will. I really don't, right? Like, he requested the trade after the opt-in and everything. So he's not opposed to leaving. So if you're the Brooklyn Nets, if we sign Kyrie long term, at any moment Kevin Durant could just want out, and now we got to deal with this all over again. And now we're stuck with Kyrie long term, and we have to find a team that's willing to take him and his long term salary. I think it's a bad position for Brooklyn to be in. And I think that's why Kyrie and his mom and his agent, why they kind of flipped it around to Brooklyn of like, hey, it's not on us. We want to stay here. We want to work it out. We're just waiting for them to send us the contract. Let's get the extension. We're ready to go. Come on. Let's make it happen. Chop, chop. Let's do it. Like, that's kind of what this is. And I just don't think Brooklyn's going to want to give him the max. I know there have been reports where they've talked about, reports that came out saying that they're interested in giving him the max and they're going to look to do that. And maybe they do. Maybe that do. But it's one of those things, I got to believe it to see it. I got to see it to believe it. I don't buy it. It's easy to say that because you don't want any drama. You don't want any controversy. Like, what are they supposed to say? Nah, we're going to offer Kyrie $10 million. No, that's silly. Of course they're going to say the answer that's going to try to, especially with all just the implosion that they've had the last year, right? Like, the last thing you want to do is stir and muddy the water some more. So no, you're just kind of riding it out and waiting to see what happens. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. What do you think? Do you agree? This was Kyrie kind of flipping it on Brooklyn as a way out. I do think he signs. If Brooklyn offers him a full max extension, I don't think he gets that anywhere else. So I absolutely think he might stay in that regard. It might be one of the whole get your money now and then figure it out later. That could very well be something. Maybe the Nets extend him or sign or re-sign him or whatever, and he gets his money, and then in January he tries to figure out a trade or something. That could be a possibility. But yeah. Anyway, again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, however you feel about it. Do you think that he stays in Brooklyn? Do you think he doesn't? What do you think the outcome and result's going to be? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comment section.